we can now bring in Veronica Welch, Director for Amnesty in Ukraine. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Your reaction to the statement yesterday from the U.S. President that this war will effectively need to be ended between Russia and Ukraine themselves?
Well, thank you so much for having me here. It's my pleasure. And, of course, this war should be over, but I do not think that we can. Putin is the one who started this war. So how can we be ended just between those two? I think we definitely need the very strong international community and strong commitment to end this war together.
Yesterday, we had the Russian government that labeled Amnesty an undesirable organization. The move effectively bans the organization from operating in Russia. Are you surprised by this move from Moscow?
I'm not surprised, especially, considering that all the last year we were so vocal, calling about tribunal against Putin and those who are responsible for committing war crimes in Ukraine. We called, of course, for committing with ICC warrant that was issued on the measure of abducting Ukrainian kids. We've been very vocal on a question of Ukrainian POWs, civilian detainees, indoctrination of Ukrainian kids, treatment of people on occupied territories. So we knew that something like this is going to come.
So Amnesty, of course, has been operating in Ukraine. What are you uncovering about war crimes being committed by Russian soldiers?
Well, there's many things. And of course, I think that main thing that distinguish us from any other place is that Ukraine is the kind of country democratic enough, strong enough that Amnesty could be present. Because when you can practice human rights law and human rights on the ground, this is what you distinguish from any other authoritarian place. But of course, we document everything, and the main focus ours right now, it would be condition. We're proving that Russians are committing very systemic torture and condition of incommunicado and forceful disappearance of Ukrainian prisoners and civilians, civilian detainees, they call it, yes.
So Ukrainian soldiers that are detained in Russia. So incommunicado means they're not allowed to send at all with their families?
At all. We have cases where the people at all, and it's very complicated because under the Geneva Convention, the only one organization that has a mandate to access prisoners of war and civilian detainees, it's International Red Cross. And of course, if Russia is not allowed them to do so, it creates very, very complicated situation. So, and we, from our side, we also visiting the Russian prisoners of war who are in Ukraine. We monitor the situation. We try to, show always to see if it's really Geneva Convention is fill out from Ukrainian side as well, because it's equally important, right? The people have to be treated with a dignity. These rules of the war, they exist for a reason, Geneva Convention and everything else. But of course, Russia does not apply that, disrespect it completely, and it's very worrisome. It applies about, and media professionals and medical doctors and everything else. Yes.
So let me talk about what you've been documenting within Ukraine, because you said, of course, that there are, of course, Russian soldiers who were captured by Ukraine as well. What guarantees are they being given? Are they allowed to speak to their families or have contact with their families?
Yes, that's the thing. When we visited them, there was a question about the phone calls. Even, it's a very common practice. Well, it's interesting part that, of course, Geneva Convention, for example, does not mention phone calls. Well, for obvious reason, it was not applicable at the time and was founded and it was established. But right now, it's possible to do the letter writing. They can write letters. They have a job there. They can play soccer. They have a normal condition for the imprisonment. Imprisonment is never perfect. But of course, the certain conditions should be met and they should be kept in special places altogether, just prisoners of war, not blended with any other criminals or something. And Ukraine comply with that conditions.
And what about abducted children, Ukrainian children who have been abducted into Russia? Where are they? What are the hopes of getting them back?
Well, I think it's one of the most uniting issue, where international community is trying to help on, and Putin and Belova, they under investigation, or this arrest warrant was exactly about this issue, and unfortunately, not enough Ukrainian kids been brought back, and unfortunately, many of those kids they became. Adult right now, 3 years into the war. So it means that, if you were 15, even from special facility, right now, you are 18 years old with a Russian passport, usually with a Russian birth certificate, because what they are doing, they issue new birth certificate for Ukrainian kids, etc. So it gets very, very problematic for us. And of course, to find the kids, to detect them,
because it's a Herculean task, isn't it, to identify kids with their parents because they've been forcibly moved. So how does an organization like yours actually work and to establish links?
Well, our organization is the one who basically mostly inform about this. This is kind of issue that Ukrainian government took lead on this. And as you know, there's a special people appointed in the office of the president who is taking care of this. And, for us, the main role is not make it worse, because also in a human rights world, if you're too vocal about something and not having enough information, you can harm as the same way. So we, try to inform people. We try to produce, report to the extent we could this, but I would never even comment on the topics that, I'd not have enough information as this one.
Are you confident that one day whoever your organization is accusing of war crimes will face justice? Are you confident of that?
I am. You know what? Because this history proved this. Because we are fighting on the right side of the history. This is what happens. And when we look back, sometimes some stuff that would be impossible to imagine became real right now. Even the tribunal that was imposed, maybe it's not perfect. Okay, if we haven't seen statute in my work next year or something, but it happened. And 3 years ago, it was just a talk. It's the first tribunal that ever been imposed and created during the active war that happened. It's the first one after the second war. So it's going to happen, but it will take time and maybe much longer than we would like to. But, justice will come because otherwise we would never be able to reestablish the peace we had before.
Veronica Welch, thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us here on the program.
Thank you.